Hey traders, welcome to my Emini S&P 500 ES trading recap for the day for Friday and day after the Brexit here. So a lot of interesting swings in the market, very volatile, very jumpy, and a lot of profit to be made. Volatility can definitely be a trader's best friend as long as you are careful and you make sure that you are keeping your risk fairly tight and looking for some bigger opportunities. So it has been a really odd week overall. Just with those Brexit concerns, we've basically seen one day that's very good, and then a poor day. One day is very good, then a poor day, and just really tight markets, and then instantly going into bigger swings. So it's one of those weeks where it's only a couple days that the vast majority of my profits for the week came from, but they were very, very good profits. So I have no issue with that. But it was just a shortened day here, just 9:30 to 10:55 that I traded. You could see that there was a big run up actually around that market open. We were just launching up into the 2054 area in here before having a big pullback, and it was such a big move off the market open that I wasn't able to take advantage, even if I was around for it. Just took off too aggressively, and then as we came back, even though this was a pretty big move back, still in the context of that really large trending move, not something I really wanted to latch onto. Might have been willing to do it if I had a clear swing point, something that I knew could bring in some more sellers, but there really wasn't anything here. So could just be a small retracement of a bigger trend before coming back up. So I kind of had to wait for this stuff to sort itself out. But once it pushed up here, great opportunity to go long and trading off of some prior resistance. It can become a little bit of support, kind of overshoots that a little bit, but had to kind of aim for that overshoot just because of how wide things were swinging. We had already seen things swinging back and forth here a little bit, so had to be pretty cautious with the size of the move. But a good long here, and I was actually aiming for more. You can see I was aiming for more when it started to hold. I took the profit, and ultimately I could have come back and I could have had way more profit on the trade. I was usually just aim for 5 at a max. Could have had more, but in these sort of conditions, when things are kind of whipping around like this, I'd rather take that very nice profit that I have off the table rather than let things come back once it starts to consolidate. So unless I have a really good structural reason, I'm not going to be too keen on holding through. So another attempt here, again off of a nice level, and this one you can see again I was looking for 5 points. I actually came a tick away from getting into my target here, and then I got taken out on my stop because I just kept my stop behind this swing, again keeping things pretty tight. So would have done the same thing I did here if I had a little bit of consolidation. Would have just taken that profit off the table. But from there we pushed down really aggressively, and so I took a short. Now we had a really clear trend line from the market open coming through this swing point here and then running into this one. So just set that as a target. There's a possibility we might break on that because the selling was very aggressive, but I was happy just to take what is essentially a quick scalp in a really aggressively swinging market, and pushed up again. But because we had just seen that selling come in and seen that market starting to turn over a little bit, there's definitely some more weakness in the market at that point compared to some of these stronger earlier moves. So didn't really trust this one here, and if we had cleared this high by enough that maybe I could be trading off of this area rather than into it, might have been a bit more appealing. But notice that price did hold in here briefly, but then tested back into that prior high and then rejected off of that. So that was the concern there, that we might have a little bit of a false break scenario because we had already kind of tested here, and now testing again. It wouldn't have been a bad trade necessarily. I would have only lost 5 ticks on it, 1.25 points, but still not one that I was really willing to take the risk on at the time, just because, again, after I'd seen that selling, I wasn't convinced that we were going to continue this move up. Once we broke this trend line, though, because this was such an important trend line, such a big trend line on that day, I was, at that point, looking for things to break down into this area again. Possibly might hold in here, but was looking for more of this kind of key zone in and around these areas, basically going between the 54, 55 is kind of what I was targeting because of the structural break happening there, and possibility with just that profit taking to kind of drag things back down. These white lines here, that's where I was just kind of keeping my stop behind these little pullbacks along the way. So if I had been taken out, I would have lost potentially a point of that profit that I might have been able to lock in, but I was willing to do that to see if we could get a bit more of a run. So worked out really nicely there. Finally got the 5 points that I wasn't able to get on the long here, and then got another quick short that again was off a pretty nice level. Otherwise, I might have avoided it because we were getting a little bit extended here. Might have had a deeper pullback, but a really nice swing point to trade off of. And then a couple longs that I gave an attempt to, which I knew would be a little bit difficult. There's a lot of selling here. This one actually did go for at least a couple points. Could have had a decent profit on it, but again, I was aiming for a little bit more. Couldn't get that fill. And then another attempt here. And this one, I would have been looking for a push of basically 4 or 5 points on. So risking 1.25 points, aiming for 4 to 5. So they were worth a couple attempts, but once I took those couple losses, and now the market, instead of swinging, was really chopping. And there's a lot of chop in here, a lot of back and forth. And that can happen after these big news events, some of that uncertainty. So with those swings kind of out of the market, starting to chop around, and having taken a couple losses and maybe not being in kind of the flow of the market anymore, I decided just to kind of call it a day because it was a very, very good day already. No reason to give a bunch of that profit back and chopped around if the market looks very, very uncertain. So definitely happy with that. Hopefully you guys bank some good points yourself on what was a pretty aggressively moving day, and one that certainly wasn't really for novice traders, but for experienced traders, there's a lot of profit available on a day like this. So be interested to see how this next week goes. Maybe it settles down a little bit, but should be still some good volume and volatility and really good opportunity to come next week. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So have a good weekend, guys. Talk to you soon.